You ever notice how some people never clap when you win? They sit there with that fake smile, and the moment you walk away, they've got something to say. And it's always the same kind of words, not original, not creative, just recycled negativity on repeat. They don't say it because they care. They say it because your success shines a light on everything they're not doing. And instead of fixing their own life, they take aim at yours. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to pull those words apart. We're going to expose the exact things jealous people always say, why they say them, and most importantly, how you're going to stop letting them control you. Because the truth is this, if people aren't getting jealous, you're not moving fast enough. They rarely come at you directly. Jealous people aren't bold. They don't walk up and say, I'm insecure, I'm scared you're outgrowing me, and I can't handle it. No, that would require courage, honesty, self-awareness. Instead, they package their jealousy inside little comments, subtle digs, words that sound casual, even friendly, but are really poison darts aimed right at your confidence. One of the first lines you'll hear is this: you've changed. Another classic one: you think you're better than us. Notice the phrasing, not better than me, but better than us. Jealous people love to recruit an imaginary army. They use us because they want you to feel isolated, like the whole world is against you. But let's call it out for what it is. Projection. You never said you're better. You never needed to. They feel inferior. And instead of dealing with that, they try to pin it on you. Here's another one that always pops up. It's not gonna last. You start something new, you get a little momentum, and immediately someone says, yeah, but let's see how long that lasts. That's jealousy disguised as realism. They don't want to believe your success could be permanent, because then they'd have to confront the fact that they could have done it too, but didn't. It's easier for them to sit on the sidelines and predict failure than to get in the game and risk failing themselves. And then there's this, you're just lucky. Luck. That's the word jealous people cling to like a security blanket. Because if it's luck, then your success has nothing to do with your hard work, your discipline, your sleepless nights, your sacrifices. If it's luck, then they don't have to take responsibility for their own inaction. They get to say, it wasn't their effort, it was fate. But deep down, they know it's not luck. They know it's your consistency, your grind, your refusal to quit. Saying luck is just their way of making themselves feel better for not trying. One of the most poisonous phrases they'll throw at you is this: don't get too excited, it won't work. They dress it up like advice, like they're protecting you. But what's really happening is this: your excitement threatens them. Your energy reminds them of a fire they don't have. And if they can kill your excitement early, they don't have to watch you succeed later. It's sabotage, plain and simple. And if you listen to it, if you internalize it, you'll start shrinking yourself just to make them comfortable. But here's the truth about all these words. None of them are about you. They're all about them. Jealous people speak in mirrors. When they say you've changed, they're saying, I'm afraid I haven't. When they say you think you're better than us, what they're really saying is, I feel worse than you. When they say it won't last, what they mean is, I never had the stamina to last. When they say you're lucky, they're confessing, I didn't put in the work. And when they say don't get too excited, they're really saying, I've given up on my own excitement. The problem is, most people don't stop to decode these words. They hear them and they sting. They feel like rejection. And because we all want to belong, to be accepted, we start second guessing ourselves. We shrink back. We tone down our wins. We stop talking about the good things happening in our lives because we don't want to make anyone feel bad. And before you know it, the jealous person has done their job. They've made you smaller. But think about this. If people are talking like that, it means you're doing something that matters. Jealousy is a signpost. Nobody gets jealous of mediocrity. Nobody sits around saying, wow, look at them sitting on the couch again. No. Jealousy only shows up when you move, when you grow, when you start breaking out of the box they built for you. So the next time you hear those words, don't take them at face value. Don't argue. Don't defend. Just understand what's really being said. Because every time someone tells you you've changed, you should smile and think, good, that was the plan. Every time someone says you think you're better than us, you should think, no, I just decided not to stay stuck. When they say it won't last, you let your consistency answer them. When they say you're just lucky, you keep putting in the work they refuse to do. And when they say don't get too excited, you turn your excitement up even louder because that energy is the very thing they've lost. Jealousy speaks a predictable language. Once you recognize it, you can stop letting it cut you and start letting it confirm you're on the right path. Because those words, they're not insults. They're compliments in disguise. They're proof you're moving in a direction that makes people uncomfortable. And if your success makes someone else uncomfortable, that's their problem, not yours. Jealousy is not really about you. It feels personal because it's aimed at you, but it's not. Jealousy is about them. It's about what's going on inside their head, inside their heart. It's about the way they measure themselves against you and come up short. And the truth is, people don't get jealous when you fail. They don't get jealous when you're struggling. They only get jealous when your life becomes a mirror that forces them to see everything they're not doing. Let's break it down. At the root of jealousy is insecurity. People who know who they are, people who are grounded, people who are busy building their own life. They don't have time to sit around worrying about what you're doing. They don't care if you bought a new car, started a business, hit the gym, lost weight, landed a promotion. They're too focused on their own path. The ones who care, the ones who can't stop talking, are the ones who feel inadequate. They look at you and instead of being inspired, they feel threatened. And why do they feel threatened? Because your success reminds them of their choices. Every action you take, every step forward you make, forces them to confront the reality of their own inaction. When you wake up early and go for that run, when you stay up late building your dream, when you refuse to settle for average, they're reminded that they could have done the same. They had the same 24 hours. But instead of using it, they wasted it. And that's uncomfortable. That's painful. So instead of saying, wow, maybe I need to step up, they choose the easier route. Jealousy.
Think about it.
People don't get jealous of people who are beneath them, only of those who are rising. If you were sitting still, they wouldn't care. But the second you start climbing, suddenly the claws come out. Why? Because your movement highlights their stagnation. Your growth makes their excuses look flimsy. Your courage makes their fear undeniable. And that burns. There's also fear involved, fear of being left behind, fear of losing you, fear of change. Sometimes the jealousy doesn't even come from strangers. It comes from the people closest to you. Family, friends, the ones you thought would clap the loudest. And that stings even more. But understand this, when someone says, you've changed, or don't forget where you came from, what they're really saying is, I'm scared you're outgrowing me, and I don't know how to deal with it. It's not always about hatred. Sometimes it's about loss. Your success represents distance. If you keep moving forward, they know the gap between you and them will widen, and that terrifies them. Instead of rising to meet you, they'd rather try to pull you back down. Another layer of jealousy is lack of self-worth. People who haven't built an identity they're proud of are quick to attack yours. They see you building something, and instead of saying, good for them, they think, why not me? And instead of answering that question honestly, maybe I didn't put in the work, maybe I didn't take the risks, they'd rather take aim at you. And let's be real, society feeds jealousy. Social media has made it worse. People scroll, and instead of being motivated, they compare, they look at filtered snapshots of someone else's life and think, why don't I have that? Then you come along, someone they actually know, someone real, someone they can't dismiss as fake, and you're doing the work, you're getting results. That's when jealousy really kicks in. Because if you can do it, they know deep down they could too. And admitting that means admitting they've been wasting their time. Here's the ugly truth. Jealousy is self-inflicted pain. It's someone stabbing themselves every time they look at you and choosing to blame you for the wound. They think if they can make you smaller, they won't feel the cut as deep, but it never works. Shrinking you doesn't heal them. It just leaves everyone worse off. Now here's the part you need to remember. Their jealousy is not proof that you're doing something wrong. It's proof that you're doing something right. People don't get jealous of nothing. Nobody gets jealous when you're broke, lazy, stuck, or invisible. They only get jealous when you shine. That's how you know you're on the right track. Jealousy is the tax you pay for progress. It's the background noise that comes with leveling up. So when you hear those comments, don't let them stick. Don't internalize them. Don't think, maybe they're right. Maybe I should slow down. Maybe I shouldn't want so much. No. Recognize it for what it is. Fear, insecurity, lack of self-worth. Recognize it's their battle, not yours. Because if you let their jealousy dictate your decisions, you'll end up playing small for the rest of your life just to make other people comfortable. And here's a question you've got to ask yourself. Do you want to live a life that keeps other people comfortable, or do you want to live a life that pushes you to your potential? Because you can't have both. If you chase your potential, jealousy will come. That's inevitable. If you avoid jealousy, you'll have to shrink yourself. That's the trade-off. Which one are you willing to live with? The psychology of jealousy tells us this. When people lash out, when they whisper, when they roll their eyes, when they dismiss your achievements, it's not about you. It's about the reflection they see in you. You are the mirror they can't escape. You are the reminder of what they could be doing, but aren't. And instead of facing that truth, they choose jealousy. So don't waste energy trying to fix their feelings. Don't argue. Don't explain. Don't water yourself down. Let them feel it, because the same way you had to face your own excuses, your own fears, your own insecurities, that's their work to do. And maybe, just maybe, your success will eventually inspire them. But whether it does or not, you keep going, you keep shining, you keep being the mirror. Jealousy is one of the oldest emotions in human history, and it always tells you more about the person feeling it than about the person it's directed toward. When somebody feels jealous of you, what they're really doing is holding up a mirror. They look at you, they look at what you're doing, and it forces them to see everything they're not doing. That's the real root of jealousy. It's not that they don't want you to win. It's that your win reminds them they're not even in the game. People like to think jealousy is about hate. It's not. It's about fear. Fear that they're being left behind. Fear that you're going to outgrow them. Fear that your success is proof of their failure. Because if you can rise from the same environment they came from, if you can grind, push, evolve, and climb, then what excuse do they have for staying stuck? That thought terrifies them. So instead of facing it, they redirect the energy. They aim it at you. Most people don't realize that jealousy is just insecurity, dressed up in different clothes. Confident, fulfilled, self-assured people don't have time to be jealous. They're too busy building, too busy focusing on their own life. The ones who lash out, gossip, throw shade, or downplay your progress, those are the ones who haven't built anything inside themselves. And because they feel empty, your growth highlights that emptiness. Think about it. Nobody gets jealous of someone who's not moving. If you're standing still, nobody cares. But the moment you start progressing, when you start making money, when you start getting in shape, when you start moving different, that's when the comments come. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because you're showing them what's possible. And when people see what's possible, they either rise to it or they resent it. Most choose resentment because rising requires work. Here's another layer. Jealousy is often strongest from the people closest to you. Strangers on the internet might roll their eyes or make a comment. But the people who knew the old version of you, they're the ones who can feel the most threatened. Because your evolution disrupts the status quo. If you change, it forces them to either adapt or get left behind. And most people don't want to change. They'd rather you stay the same, so they don't have to face their own discomfort. That's why you'll hear things like, don't forget where you came from. Sounds innocent, doesn't it? But the subtext is clear. Don't grow too much. Don't become so different that I can't relate to you anymore. They're not protecting you. They're protecting themselves from the fear of losing you. And if you're not careful, you'll mistake that jealousy for love. You'll think, maybe they're right. Maybe I should slow down. Maybe I shouldn't dream this big. That's how jealousy kills potential. Not through anger, but through manipulation disguised as care. Another piece of the psychology is comparison. Humans are wired to compare, but not everyone uses it the same way. Some people see you winning and think, if they can do it, I can do it too. That's healthy comparison. That's inspiration. But jealous people twist comparison. They look at you and instead of saying, I can, they say, why not me? That question eats at them. And instead of answering honestly, maybe I didn't put in the work. Maybe I didn't take the risks. Maybe I let fear stop me. They put it all on you. It's easier to resent you than to face themselves. Social media has made this worse. People see highlight reels every day and their self-worth takes hit after hit. But here's the thing. It's not the strangers online that sting the most. It's the people they know. Because when you succeed, it's undeniable. You're not some influencer they can dismiss as fake. You're real. They know your story. They know you came from the same place they did. And if you rose from it, that means they could too. That's where the jealousy cuts the deepest. Here's the harsh truth. Jealousy is self-inflicted pain. It's not you hurting them. It's them hurting themselves every time they look at you and compare. They stab themselves with their own insecurities. And instead of taking responsibility, they point the finger at you. They think, if I can tear them down, if I can make them smaller, then I won't feel this pain. But it never works. Shrinking you doesn't heal them. It just leaves everyone worse off. Now, why does this matter to you? Because when you understand the psychology of jealousy, you stop taking it personally. You stop letting their words burrow into your mind. You realize it's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of theirs. And that's powerful because the moment you stop internalizing jealousy, you start using it as confirmation. Every jealous remark becomes a signal. You're on the right track. You're moving. You're shining. You're growing. Just think about it this way. Nobody gets jealous of mediocrity. Nobody gets jealous of failure. Jealousy only shows up in the presence of success, progress, and potential. Which means if people are jealous of you, you're doing something that matters. Their jealousy is proof you're breaking out of the box they put you in. And if your growth makes someone else uncomfortable, that's not your problem to solve. So the next time you catch someone throwing shade, dismissing your work, minimizing your effort, remember this, it's not about you. It's about their fear, their insecurity, their lack of self-worth. And you have two choices. You can shrink yourself to make them comfortable, or you can keep growing and let their jealousy be their problem. Only one of those choices leads you to your potential. Because at the end of the day, jealousy isn't about hate. It's about pain. The pain of knowing you could be doing more but choosing not to. The pain of seeing someone else live a life you want but never went after. And if people want to live in that pain, that's on them. But you're not here to carry it. You're here to rise in spite of it. Here's the real danger with jealousy. It's not the words themselves. It's what happens when you start believing them. That's the trap. That's how jealousy does the most damage. It doesn't need to break you outright. It just needs to plant a seed of doubt in your mind. Once that seed grows, you'll start doing the work of tearing yourself down without anyone else lifting a finger. Think about the way those comments land. Someone says, you've changed. And instead of smiling and saying, yes, that's the point, you pause. You start questioning yourself. Have I changed too much? Maybe I'm leaving people behind. Maybe they don't like me anymore. That pause is dangerous because the second you start doubting your own growth, you're at risk of sabotaging it. Or you hear, you think you're better than us. At first you laugh it off, but late at night, it echoes. You start to wonder, am I being arrogant? Am I showing off? And the next time you accomplish something, you tone it down. You hide your win. You dim your light just a little so nobody feels uncomfortable. And you think you're doing it to keep the peace. But what you're really doing is shrinking yourself. Then there's, it's not going to last. That one is a slow poison. Because in the back of your mind, you start asking, what if they're right? What if this doesn't last? What if I'm just fooling myself? Suddenly, instead of focusing on the work that will make it last, you're focused on the fear of losing it. That fear makes you hesitate. It makes you second guess. It keeps you from going all in. And hesitation kills more dreams than failure ever will. You're just lucky sounds like a throwaway line, but if you're not careful, you'll start questioning whether your effort even matters. You'll start thinking, maybe it was luck. Maybe I just got lucky this time. Maybe I don't deserve this. And the moment you start believing you don't deserve what you've earned, you'll stop chasing the next level. You'll convince yourself that you're not worthy and you'll hand over your potential without anyone needing to take it. And then there's the big one. Don't get too excited. It won't work. That comment is like a wet blanket thrown over a fire. It doesn't kill the flame right away, but it smothers it little by little. Excitement is energy. Excitement is momentum. When someone tells you not to get excited, they're really telling you to drain yourself of the very thing that's fueling your progress. And if you believe them, you'll start pulling back. You'll stop talking about your dreams. You'll keep them locked inside because you don't want to be laughed at, and dreams kept in the dark eventually suffocate. That's the trap of internalizing jealousy. It convinces you to be smaller, quieter, less ambitious, less visible. And the more you shrink, the more you think you're protecting yourself. But what you're really doing is protecting them. You're protecting other people's comfort at the expense of your own growth. Here's the harsh reality. You cannot spend your life trying to make other people comfortable. Because no matter what you do, somebody will always find a reason to criticize. If you fail, they'll say, see, I told you so. If you succeed, they'll say, you got lucky. If you play small, they'll say, you wasted your potential. And if you play big, they'll say, you think you're better than us. You can't win their approval. So stop trying. When you internalize jealousy, you hand over your power. You let someone else's insecurity dictate your destiny. And the tragic part is, most people don't even realize it's happening. They think they're being humble. They think they're being realistic. They think they're keeping it safe. But those are just pretty words for self-sabotage. Look back on your own life. How many times have you played smaller than you really wanted to? How many times have you kept quiet about a win because you didn't want people to think you were bragging? How many times have you talked yourself out of chasing something bigger because you didn't want to be judged? Every one of those moments is jealousy doing its work. It's not your voice, it's theirs, living rent-free in your head. The truth is, you owe it to yourself to resist that trap, because the cost of internalizing jealousy is your future. Every time you shrink, you're giving up a piece of what could have been. And years down the line, you'll regret not the things you tried and failed, but the things you never tried because you let someone else's words stop you. You have to make a choice. Whose voice matters more, yours or theirs? Because jealous people will always talk. That's what they do. You can't silence them, but you can decide whether their voice becomes louder than your own. And that decision will shape everything. Here's what you need to remember. People's jealousy is not your responsibility. You don't have to carry it. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to tone yourself down to make anyone else feel better. Your responsibility is to live at your full potential. And if that makes someone uncomfortable, let them deal with it. Their jealousy is their work, not yours. The moment you stop internalizing jealousy, you free yourself. You stop worrying about who's clapping and who's not. You stop waiting for permission to shine. You stop apologizing for being excited, for being proud, for being driven. You stop treating your success like something to be hidden. You own it, you celebrate it, you let it fuel you. Because here's the thing, jealousy will always exist. You can't outrun it. The higher you climb, the louder it gets. But you can train yourself not to internalize it. You can train yourself to hear it for what it really is, not truth, but fear. Not fact, but insecurity. Not guidance, but projection. And when you see it clearly, it loses its power. So don't let jealous words become your thoughts. Don't let someone else's fear become your future. You're not here to play small. You're here to rise. And anyone who can't handle that, let them stay where they are. But you keep moving. Jealousy is not just noise. You need to block out. It can actually be energy you can use. Most people waste time trying to silence jealous voices, to prove them wrong, to convince them they're not who they think you are. That's wasted effort. You don't need to fight jealousy. You need to reframe it. You need to see it for what it is. Proof you're making progress. Proof you're visible. Proof you're triggering something in people because you're daring to move in ways they wouldn't. And once you recognize that, jealousy stops being an obstacle and becomes fuel. Let's be clear. Jealous people are giving you free information. They're basically telling you what you're doing is working. They're showing you that your growth is undeniable because it bothers them enough to talk about it. If you weren't doing anything, if you weren't making moves, they wouldn't care. Silence is indifference. Jealousy is a signal. And if you're smart, you'll use that signal as momentum instead of letting it slow you down. Think out history. Think about every athlete, entrepreneur, or leader who accomplished something extraordinary. Do you think they got there because everyone supported them? No. They got there because they turned doubt into drive. When someone says it's not going to last, don't argue with them. Don't explain yourself. Just think, good, keep talking, because while you're talking, I'm working. While you're watching, I'm building. Let their prediction of your failure push you to make your success permanent. Turn their doubt into discipline. When someone says you're just lucky, use it as fuel to double down on your effort. Work so hard, so consistently that no one can even mistake it for luck anymore. Let that word motivate you to outwork everyone in the room. Let it remind you that luck can get you a moment, but consistency gets you a legacy. When someone tells you, don't get too excited, that's your cue to turn the excitement up even louder. Because excitement is contagious, and if they can't handle it, that's their loss. Excitement is energy. Excitement is fuel. Don't ever let someone drain it out of you. Instead, let their attempt to silence you push you to celebrate yourself even more. One of the best things jealousy does is it reveals who you are to people. It separates the ones who clap for you from the ones who secretly resent you. And once you know who's who, you're free. You don't have to waste energy on the wrong people anymore. You can redirect it all toward your mission. That's fuel. That's power. I'll tell you this. Every jealous word thrown at you is like a weight in the gym. You can either let it crush you, or you can use it to get stronger. Every time someone doubts you, it's another rep. Every time someone talks behind your back, it's another set. Every time someone tries to minimize your work, you push harder, lift heavier, go longer. And over time, you build strength that nobody can take from you. That's how you turn jealousy into fuel. It becomes resistance training for your soul. Here's what's important though. Don't waste that fuel on revenge. Don't waste it trying to prove yourself to them. That's just another trap, because the truth is you'll never convince a jealous person. No amount of success will make them clap. If anything, the more you succeed, the more jealous they'll get. So stop trying to prove anything to them. Prove it to yourself. Channel that energy inward, not outward. Use their doubt to sharpen your focus, not to justify your existence. Turning jealousy into fuel means you stop resenting it and start welcoming it. When you hear it, instead of shrinking, you smile. You think, perfect, more energy for me. Use it as confirmation that you're moving in the right direction. Because if you were still stuck, if you were still average, nobody would bother. The fact that they're jealous means you're moving. That's fuel. Think about a rocket. Do you know what makes it launch? Resistance. Without resistance, it doesn't break through the atmosphere. Jealousy works the same way. It's the resistance you use to push higher. You don't break through by avoiding it. You break through by embracing it. And here's the beautiful part. When you start seeing jealousy as fuel, you stop fearing it. You stop tiptoeing around it. You stop trying to hide your wins. Instead, you lean into them. You take up space. You let yourself shine fully. And the brighter you shine, the more jealousy you'll attract and the more fuel you'll have. It becomes a cycle that works in your favor instead of against you. So the next time someone doubts you, thank them silently because they just gave you energy for your next move. The next time someone minimizes you, smile because they just handed you another reason to keep going. Jealousy is not a stop sign. It's a green light. It's telling you you're going the right way. Keep pressing forward. And when you learn to see it that way, nothing can stop you because instead of draining you, it fuels you. Instead of breaking you, it builds you. Instead of slowing you down, it pushes you faster. At the end of the day, jealousy is inevitable. You can't control it. You can't eliminate it, but you can decide what to do with it. And the most powerful choice you can make is this. Let it feed you. Let it strengthen you. Let it drive you further than you would have gone without it. Because in the end, jealous people aren't your enemies. They're your unpaid coaches. They're giving you energy for free. All you have to do is decide to use it. Dealing with jealous people is not about fighting fire with fire. It's not about clapping back, proving them wrong, or wasting your energy on their drama. Power isn't loud. Power isn't messy. Power is calm, controlled, and intentional. Handling jealous people with power and grace means you don't let them dictate how you move, but you also don't let yourself get dragged down to their level. You rise above without apology. The first thing to understand is this. Jealous people want a reaction. That's the game. They poke, they prod, they throw little comments, not because they're true, but because they want to get under your skin. The moment you react emotionally, whether it's anger, defensiveness, or even over-explaining, you've given them exactly what they wanted. You've let them control you. That's weakness. Strength is when you hear the words, you feel the sting, and you choose not to respond in the way they expect. You stay centered, you stay focused, you keep moving. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Silence can be louder than any clapback. When you don't engage, you starve jealousy of the attention it craves. Because jealousy feeds on energy. The more you defend, the more you argue, the more you try to justify yourself, the more fuel you're giving them. But when you meet jealousy with calm indifference, you make it clear, you don't matter enough to affect me. That is power. But grace matters too. Handling jealous people with grace doesn't mean you tolerate their behavior. It means you don't let their bitterness poison you. You don't let it turn you into them. It's easy to become resentful, to start hating them back, to want revenge. But if you let that happen, they've already won. You've let them pull you down into their world. Grace is about maintaining your integrity even when you're being tested. It's about keeping your standards high no matter how low theirs fall. One of the most powerful moves you can make is to stop explaining yourself. Jealous people love to corner you into justifying what you're doing, why you're chasing that dream, why you bought that car, why you're making that move. Don't fall for it. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Your life, your choices, your goals are yours alone. Every time you feel the need to justify yourself, remind yourself, the results will speak for me, because they will. Results are louder than arguments. Progress is louder than explanation. Silence backed by success is louder than any defense you could ever give. Another way to handle jealousy is by setting boundaries. Boundaries don't have to be loud or confrontational. They just have to be firm. If someone constantly makes comments that drain you, limit your exposure. Stop telling them your plans. Stop giving them access to your energy. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your life. Some people belong in the cheap seats watching from a distance. And the moment you realize that, you stop wasting time trying to make them understand or support you. Boundaries are grace in action. You're not fighting them. You're simply choosing peace over poison. Here's the truth. You can't control how jealous people act, but you can control how you respond. You can't stop them from talking, but you can stop their words from living rent-free in your head. That's the real win. Because when you're no longer triggered by their jealousy, you take back your power completely. They can say whatever they want, but it bounces off. It doesn't touch you. And remember this, jealous people aren't your problem to fix. You can't heal their insecurity. You can't make them love themselves. You can't force them to be happy for you. That's their work, not yours. Your only responsibility is to stay true to your path. If your light bothers them, they can put on sunglasses. It's not your job to dim your shine. Now, sometimes the best way to handle jealousy is to flip the script entirely. Instead of shrinking, you shine brighter. Instead of hiding your excitement, you celebrate even louder. Instead of apologizing for your success, you own it. Because here's the secret. Your unapologetic confidence is the one thing jealous people can't stand. And the one thing they can't stop. The more you embrace your wins, the more you show up fully, the less power their words have. Handling jealousy with grace also means being compassionate without being naive. Sometimes jealousy is just pain in disguise. People who lash out at you are really lashing out at themselves. They're stuck, they're hurting, they're lost, and your growth shines a spotlight on it. Grace means you understand this. You don't have to hate them, you don't have to wish them harm. You can see them clearly for what they are. People struggling with their own reflection. And instead of carrying resentment, you release it. You let them be who they are. And you keep being who you are. That's how you stay free. But don't confuse compassion with tolerance. Compassion means you understand, but boundaries mean you don't allow their behavior in your space. That's the balance power with grace. You don't fight them, but you don't feed them either. You don't explain, but you also don't engage. You let your actions, your results, your energy speak louder than anything else. At the end of the day, jealous people will always exist. You can't escape them. The more you grow, the more of them you'll encounter. But that's not something to fear. It's something to expect. And when you expect it, you don't get blindsided by it. You're prepared. You know exactly how to move. Calmly, confidently, unapologetically. That's power. And you do it without bitterness, without lowering yourself, without letting them change who you are. That's grace. So how do you handle jealous people? You don't fight them. You don't explain yourself. You don't let their words dictate your worth. You stay focused. You set boundaries. You rise above. You let your results do the talking. And most importantly, you keep moving forward, because at the end of the day, the best response to jealousy isn't revenge, it's success. The best answer isn't words, it's results. And the greatest power you can show is living so fully, so boldly, so unapologetically that no amount of jealousy can touch you. That is handling jealousy with power. That is handling it with grace. At the end of the day, jealousy is not your enemy. Fear is. And most of the time, it's not even your fear. It's theirs. Their insecurity, their doubt, their regret projected onto you. But here's the truth you cannot forget. You are not here to carry other people's baggage. You are not here to shrink so someone else can feel taller. You are not here to dim your light just to keep someone else comfortable in the dark. Jealous words will keep coming. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you think you're better. They'll say it won't last, that you're just lucky, that you shouldn't get too excited. The strongest move you can make is this. Keep going. Keep shining. Keep pushing. Keep building. Don't explain. Don't justify. Don't apologize. Let your results speak for you. Let your consistency speak for you. Let your life speak for you. Because when it's all said and done, nobody remembers the whispers. They remember the impact. So walk forward with power. Carry yourself with grace. And the next time you hear the language of jealousy, don't run from it. Smile. Because it means you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And never forget this. Your light will not go dim because someone else can't handle the glare. You don't lower yourself to their level. You rise every single time.